You can draw this in Procreate. You can draw this landscape in Procreate because I will walk you through all the steps. And all you need are the free brushes that are already in Procreate. And the fun thing is that during this video, you will learn lots of stuff about Procreate by just following the tutorial. We will be using layer clipping mask, free transform, Gaussian blur, and lots more. Before we get started, I want to thank you all for sharing your artworks on Instagram and also for all your lovely comments. I really enjoy reading them and I really enjoy watching all of your tutorial results. If you want to get a chance of having your work featured in my next You Can Draw This video, then be sure to share your work on Instagram and tag me in the image so I'll be able to find it. Let's get started. Our canvas is 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels. And I've made a color palette which you can download for free through a link in the description. So you can use the exact same colors that I'm using in this video. First thing we'll do is we will draw a circle. And we'll do that by using the monoline brush which is under calligraphy. And we'll use this first blue for that. Let's zoom out a little bit by pinching with our fingers. And we will make a perfect round circle. Just draw a circle first. Hold your pen in place and tap one finger on your screen. And you can drag your pen like this to make it bigger or smaller and then just let go. You can also click Edit Shape in case you want to edit the shape a bit. Or you could just use this arrow here and drag your circle around. And let's place it in the middle. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And to do that, I will use uniform. That way you can't change the ratio of your circle. It will stay a perfect circle. And we'll move it up just a little bit. Let's place it just around here. And now we will drag in the color like this and fill our circle. But we won't be painting in just a circle, we want a nice dripping effect. To do that, we will go to our layer menu, these two little squares, and click the plus to make a new layer. And we will use the monoline brush. And to make smooth lines, you can turn up the streamline. If you turn it to 0%, all the smoothness just comes from your own hand. But if you turn it up, Procreate will help you to create really smooth lines. I'm gonna put it at, let's say, 90%. But you can do whatever you like. Let's move this up a little bit and let's start drawing some drips. Let's just put our pen here first and then go down to make our first drip and try to make smooth, confident lines. And I try to do this in one go because I want to make a shape that is closed. So we close it right here. And if you're not sure if it's closed, you can just turn off that first layer to see your shape beneath. And we can fill this. And we can even adjust it a little bit, like here on the right side. I'm gonna turn up the size of my brush to 30%. Just go past here to smooth that. Now let's merge these two layers, and you can do that by just squeezing them together like that. Now I want to adjust these drips a little bit, and we will do that by using the eraser. And I've set it to monoline as well. And now we can just erase little parts of our circle like this to make that drip effect look even better. So we'll go up here And here. And just erase this. And I think it would be nice to have a little hole here. And if you hold your pen, you can make a nice oval. And I would also like to add a little drip here. So we'll go back to our brush and make a little oval here, as if it's really dripping. I feel like we can move it up a little bit, so we'll go to this arrow and drag it up just a little bit. Now let's also give our background a color. White is a bit boring, don't you think? We can go to our layer menu, click background color, and select this nice light blue. Next thing we'll do is add a gradient to our landscape scene, which will be in our dripping circle. Now, to make sure that everything we paint ends up in our dripping circle, we will use clipping mask. First, make a new layer, click that new layer and select clipping mask. This way, paint will only show up on our dripping circle. We will use a brush under airbrushing, the soft brush. And we will pick this dark blue. We'll set our brush to 15% and our opacity is at 72%. And let's start making a gradient. We'll have the darkest blue at the top and we will go lighter near the bottom. But because our sky will be reflected in the water in our scene, we will also have some dark blue in our reflection at the bottom here. Now let's pick this bright blue here for the center of our gradient. Let's make our brush a bit bigger, 20%. That way the edges will become a little bit softer. And let's also add this purple in our gradient. Just continue adding this color till you have a nice looking gradient. Finally, I'm going to add some more of that dark color here on top. And now we can soften this gradient by using a magical tool under the magic wand, the Gaussian blur. And you can adjust the Gaussian blur by sliding your pen on your screen to the right to adjust the blur. We want it to be subtle. Let's go for 25%. For our next step, we need to create a new layer on top of this. And again, we need it to be clipped to our dripping circle. So click the layer and select clipping mask. And we will go back to the monoline brush under calligraphy. We will start making some mountains. We'll make our first mountains using this purple. And I think I want to turn down the streamline a little bit right now. So we'll click the monoline brush and I'll set it to 70%. Because when we make mountains, we don't always want it to be very smooth. It can be a little bit jagged. First thing we'll do is make a horizontal line. Click one finger on your screen to make it perfectly horizontal. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller to 20%. And let's start drawing in some random mountains in the back. Just make some wobbly lines and be sure to close the shape. And drag in the purple color to fill your mountains. Now we'll make another row of mountains in front of this one. So we'll click the plus to make a new layer and select clipping mask again. And this time we will use this dark blue for our mountains. Again, we'll make a horizontal line again and hold the finger on your screen to make it perfectly horizontal. And let's make some more mountains. Just some wobbly lines. And be sure that you close the shape on the outside here. Even though you can't see it, the shape needs to be closed there. You could just deselect clipping mask so you can see your shape. So you're sure that it's closed, and then just clip it again and fill it with that dark color. Now let's add some stars to the sky. We will do that behind our mountain. So we'll click this gradient layer first and then click the plus to make a layer that is between these layers. And as you can see, it's already clipped because it's underneath these other clipped layers. We will go to the luminance brushes and select the glimmer brush. I have set the spacing of this brush to max and the jitter as well. And I've also set the scatter to max. So be sure that you adjust the settings of your brush as well. Let's pick this very light color. And I have my brush size set to 9%. And I will fill the sky with stars. Now make sure that you don't go all the way down to the horizon because stars are usually mostly visible at the top. When you really look straight up to the sky, you will see the most stars, and near the horizon you won't see that many stars because there's a bit more light there. Next, let's add a moon. We'll do that on a layer on top of this one. So let's click the plus again and go back to the monoline brush. And we will use this grayish blue color to draw a moon. So again, we will make a perfect round circle. So just draw a circle, hold your pen in place, and then tap your finger on the screen. And you can adjust the size a bit if you like, and let go. And we will fill it by dragging in the circle into the circle. And if you click the arrow here, you can move it around if you like until it's in a place of your liking. Now we want to add a little bit of a glow to this moon. So let's duplicate it by swiping to the left on the layer and click duplicate. And now we'll pick this layer underneath, go to the magic wand and select Gaussian blur. And again, use your pen or your finger, whatever you like, and slide it to the right to make it blurry. Now let's do 24. Next, click the top moon layer again. Click it and select alpha lock. This way we won't be able to paint on the pixels. Well, we will only be able to paint on pixels that are already there. The rest, which is transparent, is locked. We can't paint on that. Now we will go to the texture brushes and we will use Cura Wong. And we will select this darker gray here. And I have my brush size set to 15%, and let's just add a little bit of texture to our moon. Just like that. Finally, we want to add a reflection to our water, to our lake. And to do that, we need to duplicate the layers which have the mountains, the stars, and the moon. So we need to duplicate them one by one by swiping to the left, selecting duplicate, this one as well. Just duplicate all these layers by clicking them, swiping to the left and duplicating them. Now we need to select all these duplicate layers. And we can do that by swiping to the right. Swipe to the right on each duplicate layer. So we have the stars, the blurry moon, the textured moon, the light mountains and the dark mountains. And now we will pick these up by holding your pen in place, and then we will move them to the top. And let's just merge them by squeezing them together. And we will select the arrow here. And now you can click flip vertical. And now these layers are flipped. And we can drag them down and make sure it touches the layer on top. And now let's turn down the opacity of this layer. That way the effect will be more subtle. So click the N on the layer and turn the slider to the left. And we'll take it to 50%. There's our reflection. That's it, you did it. Be sure to share your work on Instagram so I can find it. And I will see you next time for the next digital art tutorial.